Hey guys, Felicia here. Happy Sunday. Before we start the show, I just want to remind you that there are free career management guides that I have created from all the great show content that you have come to know and love. So head on over to trillandba.com, sign up for career freebies, and you will have access to all the PDFs that we have created so far and all the new PDFs we're working on now. So head on over to trillandba.com and get your career guides today. Now, let's start the show. Welcome to the Trill MBA Show. I'm your host, Felicia Ann Rose Anuha, aka the Trillest MBA you will ever know. And I'm here to help you survive and thrive in corporate America by giving you the truth and being as real as only I can be. Happy Sunday! Ooh, I'm so excited. So, remember back like a year ago in season 2, episode 9, it was titled Setting Yourself Up for Success. And in that episode, I was meeting with one of my mentees, and she was about a year into her first job post-undergrad. And she was not set up for success whatsoever. Homegirl didn't even have objectives after the first year. So you know it was a shit show. On top of that, she had had multiple managers and leadership changes. And I mean, it was just a hot, shitty mess. Well, I got a special treat for y'all. Today, I have my mentee. We will not say her name or where she worked because we want to protect the innocent. But boy, do I have a story for y'all because what a year makes.
Yeah.
So welcome, mentee, to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
So first we're going to talk about what you've been up to, like right after that episode, what happened. And then we're going to talk about what we learned in hindsight. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to share good news. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to end the show. Okay, so I'm so excited, y'all, because first of all, God is good.
Yes.
And however God manifests in your life, I'm sorry, you atheists out there, it is what it is. If you listen to this show, you're going to hear about the goodness of the universe and the one who controls the universe that I call God. You call God.
We call God.
We call it God. Call the God. Thank you, Jesus. Lord have mercy. It'd be rough, don't it?
Yeah. It's a journey, but
Well, let's talk about your journey.
yes.
So we recorded that in July of 2018.
Yes. We talked about my feedback and sending it to my then director, manager, and getting that back.
Right.
Yes.
And we talked about how to get your objectives in the system.
Yes.
Or get objectives.
Get objectives and solid goals and what we can work towards.
Right. So did you even have a chance to get all that done?
No.
So what had happened?
So we made a list of goals and I sent them to my manager. One of the things that we talked about was I would get projects back and I would have, maybe it would need to be done by like end of day, and sort of in a rush to finish the project, there would be a number of mistakes on the project. And that was noted in my feedback, was that my work wasn't, stellar or up to par like he saw fit.
Hello, Peter. What's happening?
We have sort of a problem here.
Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. I forgot.
Yeah.
But it's not shipping out till tomorrow, so there's no problem.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
Yeah, no, I
Bye-bye,
have
Peter.
the memo. I've got it. It's right.
So in my review, I made a rebuttal and I said that if I do have a project needed by end of day, I need you to remove other projects that you've given me and let that be known that those projects are going to be put on the back burner as well if you do want this completed by the end of day. And with our email that we crafted together and that I sent to my manager, I noticed that he definitely had a level of respect for me that I felt like he didn't have before. Now, we never had the best working relationship. He wasn't the manager that hired me. He was about 3 managers in.
That's a damn shame.
3 managers in to my 1 year. So he didn't hire me. We didn't have that type of rapport. But with crafting that email, letting him know that, hey, I see you and you need to, come correct. If these are the responses that you're going to give to me, I need you to set me up for success if that's what you want. I identified that, if you want this to happen, why don't we work together and we work on finding a mentor for me within the organization so that I can flourish in the way that you would like me to. So I think once we identified those, Bob definitely came correct. I noticed when he'd give me projects, he changed his approach. Instead of, walking past my desk saying, hey, I need this in today, he would walk by a little softer. He would say, hey, when do you think you can get this done? And it was more of a dialogue as opposed to kind of a demand. So I appreciate your advice. I've seen it work.
Yes, it does work. It does work. Well, that's good. But then what happened?
After that, the organization went through a corporate-wide company restructure.
Do you know how many companies had restructures last year?
How many?
Girl, okay. So pretty much every major corporation quietly laid a bunch of people off last year. And I don't know why it didn't make news, but for example, the company I was at, they have a 5-year restructuring plan.
Wow.
And last year was year 2. So you got laid off.
I did.
Did you take some rest?
I took some rest. I did some traveling.
Good.
Went to Cuba.
Ooh.
I spent some time with family.
That's always important.
And just kind of took a break. I didn't realize how nice it was just to take a breather.
Mm-hmm.
So did some of that and got refocused on my MBA. Yeah.
So you gonna take this GMAT?
I sure am.
When you gonna take this GMAT?
I'm taking it October 26th.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yes, paid for, so I gotta go. I gotta go.
That's how I know you're serious. You paid for it.
Paid for, but it was cool. I was able to kind of tour a couple of schools.
Okay.
And sit in the classes. So that was really neat that I wouldn't have been able to do. It was so cool. I spent a whole day, sat in a couple classes. It was so much fun. Got to meet a couple of prospective students and just kind of felt like what it would be like to attend MBA school, business school. So
okay.
I used it to my advantage.
Very good. I like that. So the funny thing is when we first got connected, and I'm going to tell the story about when we were in Chicago, because I had told my friends about you. I was like, she says she really wants to do brand. And so I have a couple friends who are fanatic, diehard brand managers. They're like, I was born to be a brand manager. And then I have other friends who are like, I like these chicks. And so when I met you, you were very much like, I was born to do brand management. I came out the womb and I said, big brand. Like, and I was like, but why? So I literally brought her around my friends.
I remember. I was so mesmerized.
And so she's like, all of you guys are brand managers? All of you guys do marketing? And we're like, yeah. And Tia was the only one, I like my job. You're going to love it. Yes, be a brand manager. Everybody else was like, are you sure you want to? Because, okay, so we're going to give you the real. Are you sure you want to do marketing? But wait, hold on. And don't get me wrong. I actually love the work, the actual work that we do. Some of it's really cool. It's challenging. You're solving problems. You're, putting together teams and all the things that you want to develop as a leader. But then there's the corporate bullshit. And I think that's where, it's not really the job. It's the other shit. I think that we were like, no, you don't want this.
The people politics.
Yeah, the politics. And we were like, we don't know. Go save yourself. Go do something to help the world. Like, don't do this. We like you. But you know what? After that, she came back and she was like, oh my God, I'm even more excited. I can't wait to be a brand manager. Oh my God. I was like, okay, you too will be a brand manager. But I'm proud of you because you fought hard to get a marketing gig after you graduated. And you landed a good role with a decent company, got that on the resume. And even though they laid you off, you have almost 2 years of experience. And you learned from that.
I did.
So we're going to talk about some of the things you learned that you are now going to take into your new day.
Yes.
And we'll talk about your new day when we get back from the break. Hey guys, real quick, want to let you know the 30-minute coaching calls are no longer free, but they're not expensive at all. So for 30 minutes, you pay $40 and I will give you my all. And I will really try to keep it within 30 minutes. I'm going to try real hard, y'all. Y'all know I like to talk. Why else would I do a podcast? So I can run my mouth. No, but seriously, I love helping you guys. I love letting you know that you are not alone in these situations, that you aren't the first Black woman to go through it, and you definitely won't be the last. But hopefully one day we will all be the last, and we can really work to change the environments that we have to work in order to survive. I don't want us to just survive. I want us to thrive. And we can, and we will. So if you find yourself stuck in a work situation, invest in yourself. Go to trillinba.com/coaching and let me help you. And I'm really good at what I do. It's a little gift. So if you need some help, I'm here. If you have a quick question, you can always email ask@trillinba.com. I'm always happy to answer emails. So with that said, let's get back into the show. All right, we are back and I'm with my mentee. This is our follow-up, setting yourself up for success, take 2.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of the things you learned as far as navigating. So one of the things you talked about was actually standing up for yourself, right? In the form of not necessarily saying no, but asking the right questions.
Right.
So what's something else that you learned, though, while you were there that I didn't necessarily coach you on?
I think identifying advocates is something that I need to do and will look for in my next role. And identifying an advocate outside of my immediate manager.
So why is that? What happened?
So in my last role, I absolutely loved it going into it. I had an amazing manager. He'd been there 10 years, and we had a great relationship.
Right.
The company did some restructuring. He decided to jump ship and leave the organization after 10 years.
Right.
So that was a shock to the system. He was my only advocate. And he was a great advocate. He knew how to manage, how to navigate, and who to talk to and who to speak with. But he left.
Right. But how many months was he your manager?
About 2 or 3.
So your first 3 months were great.
Amazing. Amazing.
Because you had a good manager.
Yeah.
And then who was your next manager?
I went without a manager. And director. No manager, no director.
So who were you reporting to?
The VP. Who did
Holy
not have
shit.
time to speak with me at all.
Oh my God, I hate you guys.
I couldn't even get my credit card approved.
So mind
was
you, you have to understand, this is someone who, this is their first real full-time, no temporary. This is like, we hired you, we moved you, you're here, job. And 3 months later, she doesn't have a manager, she doesn't have a director, and she's reporting into a VP. So if you know anything about corporate, you know that somebody so junior in the organization should never report to a VP. You can never meet their expectations.
No.
Because they're used to dealing with very seasoned people. And so at that level, it's like they don't know how to coach, train, and develop. And most time they're socially inept and
You can't even get... I had
can't
to
get
communicate
time
with
with
the secretary. That's
Yeah.
who I had to communicate with, was his secretary.
did you ever have a one-on-one?
No. Mm-hmm.
So when there was no manager, no director, did the VP tell you, hey, you're going to report to me for now until I get these roles filled? Did that person even talk to you?
No, I heard by way of the secretary. He was always traveling. The organization was moving from one office to another office in another state. So he's always traveling. I had very minimal communication with him.
Did he talk to you at all?
In passing,
What did he say when he would talk to you?
just pleasantries. Hello, hi, bye. If I needed something approved, he would tell me to send it to the secretary.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
That's just fucked up. Like, you can't sugarcoat that. You can't. Man.
There was another director that was also seasoned at my old office in Chicago before I moved. So I could kind of ask her a couple of questions.
Right.
But she was so bogged down with stuff. She didn't have time for something that wasn't her responsibility.
Right.
So a lot of times she would call me, at 10 o'clock on her way home when she had time.
I'm sorry, excuse me, what time?
10 p.m. on her way home.
And you answered the phone?
That was the only time I was able to get any kind of visibility or questions answered.
What made you not quit at that point?
It was so rough. I think I was just, you're young, out of college. You want to do the best that you can possibly do. You want to be flexible, and you want to do a good job.
But you realize that's not okay.
I do now.
Right.
I do now.
So what's the do different? Like, if you ever found yourself in that situation again, what are 3 things you would do different? And then I'm going to tell you 3 things I think you should do different.
I think
1.
pulling some visibility to my situation.
Okay.
Like, I think I needed to probably let other people know because maybe the VP can't help me, but somebody else in this building needs to help me, whether it's HR, like someone needs to be aware of my situation.
Right.
And I don't think I did a good job of, advocating for myself and saying, hey, I'm struggling.
Right.
This is where I need help. I don't know who can help me, but someone needs to help me. And I don't think, looking back on it, I did a good job voicing that I was struggling.
Okay.
Number 2 is, I think, setting clear boundaries of communication. You know, if it's past 10 p.m.,
Right.
I'm out.
Right.
You know, I got Zumba at 7. I need to go.
Right.
So I need to be more, I think, direct and kind of succinct with setting those clear work-life boundaries.
Right.
And then I think stopping to kind of smell the roses. I think I was so glued to my desk
Right.
to where I would feel kind of guilty taking a lunch or leaving the office, or because I had so much work to do.
Right.
So I think I just need to be more conscious and pick my head up from my screen and interact with those around me and build those relationships
Yes.
on like a personal level, and not just,
Yes.
hey, this is, you know, the project that's going on. I need to make sure that I'm cultivating relationships.
Now, see, I don't feel like I taught you any. Did I teach you
You've
that?
been giving me some nuggets.
Well, I know you listen to the show,
I
too.
do,
So
I do.
Some of this, okay.
I do.
So here's what I would say. If I found myself in that situation, the first thing I would have done was had the secretary set up a 30-minute meeting with me and the VP. And I would say, hey, you know the situation. I know the situation. I need you to delegate a
Interim.
manager
Yeah.
to me and tell them that this temporarily is going to be part of their workload, whether they like it or not. Secondly, now I might not have said it that way, but I would have figured out how to phrase it, but that would have been what I meant.
Right.
Number 2, if I'm got my plate so loaded, because at that point you're doing busy work. Nobody's watching you. People are just throwing things to you to get done that the shit they don't care about. It's not growing you. It's not helping your career. It's just a bunch of busy work.
Yeah.
So I would have really been clear on, hey, are these things going to develop me and help me grow in the organization? And you're the VP, so it should be very quick. You should be able to discern what are the 3 key projects I need to focus on until I get a manager. And just 3.
Right.
And that's it. And everything else falls to the wayside. Did you have like random people come in and tell me, hey, we need you to do this. Hey, we need you to do that.
I did.
Yeah, because they knew you didn't have a manager.
And I had only been there, you know, a few months, so I
Right.
didn't know
Then-
what was priority, what wasn't.
Right,
I'm
because
trying to
everybody's like, do you have this? Do you have this? Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, no. I would have definitely, like you said, it's building boundaries, but not just about when people call you, but it is about like what's important and what's not. And the great thing is your VP could quickly tell you what's on his agenda, what's important to him and what's not. And then if it fell out of the scope of that, I would have been like, okay, but right now I'm working on this priority. So if you need me to do that, I have to run it by the VP. That would have been my phrase. Because who wants that?
Right.
Because I report directly to the VP right now. And I would have used that to my advantage. The third thing I would have done is I definitely would have worked really hard with HR. And this is one of the few times that you go to HR. I would have worked with HR in a very positive way. I would say, hey, I really love it here. I'm learning a lot. Yes, I'm in a different type of situation. I wouldn't label it negative. I was like, I'm in a different type of situation, but I see this as an opportunity for me to stretch. But I really could use a mentor. Do we have a mentoring program or a formal mentoring program? If we don't, can you help me identify 2 to 3 people that may be willing to mentor me? Either they're at the manager level or the director level, that they would make time for me to mentor me while I'm working to stretch reporting into a VP.
Okay.
Because you being there 3 months, that wasn't enough time to build advocates, sponsors, nothing.
And in a new city.
Right. Yeah, you talk about setting somebody up for failure. And you know, it's funny because I don't think it's ever a malicious thing. I think some people fall victim to all the change. And if you're new in your career, you're not going to be savvy enough to navigate all that. I wouldn't have been savvy enough to navigate all that had it been a similar situation with my first job out of B school. Only now in hindsight do I really No. So sometimes you have to go through these things to learn. But what I love about you is that you're sharing it now, and you're definitely going to help somebody.
Right.
They're going to be like, oh my God, this shit is happening to me. And so now we can help them, cultivate the right words and language and things to ask for, to ask for help. The other thing, I want to make something clear about the word advocate. And when we say advocate as a person and quote unquote advocating for yourself, I want to make some things clear real quick. One, an advocate is not a sponsor or a mentor. An advocate is somebody that is at your manager's level, that is your manager's peer, or close in that realm or that band or level in the organization. These people are in the room when your level, you and your peers are being evaluated. And so you want to build your advocates from that pool of people. And this is very important because here's why. Your boss should be your biggest advocate, but it is way more powerful when they're in the room calibrating you and your peers for not only your boss to have positive things to say about you, but then other of his peers chiming in and said, oh yeah, I worked with such and she did this and I saw this and she worked on this. And, I've totally seen these leadership behaviors from her. I could see your feedback around how to develop her further in the organization makes sense. And they can raise their hand and talk to the team about you in a positive light. And how you build that is different in each organization because of the culture of the company. You have to understand your company culture and how to develop relationships in there and how to talk to your boss's peers and how to get visibility with them so they can say positive things about you when they're in the room, right? That takes at least 6 months to a year to really understand. It just does.
Okay.
And you could maybe do it a little faster if you have somebody holding your hand to do it. And your manager's just 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, maybe 9.9 times out of 10. Your manager is trash and just not going to be able to do it. Like they don't care like that. They don't understand. They don't focus on development. They haven't been trained. Especially if you're like one of their first 5 direct reports, you're screwed.
You're like experiment.
Yeah, you're the test dummy. And you know what happened to test dummies.
Experiment 629.
Right. Crash right into that wall. Now, let's talk about quote unquote advocating for yourself. So now, if you understand who an advocate is, advocating for yourself, in a sense, does not happen. So I don't want people to get it confused when they hear, other people talking about, hey, you need to advocate for yourself. We as Black women especially don't advocate for ourselves. But what you're talking about, and we use the word advocate because it makes sense in this context, but it's not like advocating broadly across the organization, making sure you're driving your career. It's actually setting your boundaries and standing up for yourself. So you do need to stand up for yourself in the organization. But again, there's a way to do it. There's a different type of language to use. And it's all according to the culture of your organization, which you have to pay attention to. So like, you may not be able to directly say, hey, don't call me after 10 o'clock, And again, I tell people, couch things in the positive. So if somebody's calling you at 10 o'clock from work, just don't answer the goddamn phone. Real talk. Let them leave a message. Unless you work in medicine and there are real people's lives on the line, there is no reason for you to answer the phone. If you make anything outside of hearts, kidneys, limbs,
Babies.
babies, veins. I mean, if you have a job that deals with actual life and death, then you got to answer the phone. Because somebody really could die. But if you don't, which the vast majority of us are selling shit in Walmart, that's what we're doing. We're working on selling shit in Walmart, right? Mm-hmm. Don't answer the goddamn phone. Because guess what? Nobody's going to die. Nobody. If the shipment is late to Walmart, no one's going to die.
Right.
If Kroger don't get the displays yesterday, nobody's going to die. If Dollar General don't get them Sharpies, nobody's going to die. Everybody living. You can be mad. You can be upset, but you're still breathing. So honestly, it's a good day. And so I just don't want people to get confused and think that, well, I don't need advocates because I can advocate for myself. No, you can't. But you can stick up for yourself.
Right.
You can stand up for yourself. You can ask for help and ask for what you need. Mm-hmm. And in a sense, that's quote unquote advocating for yourself. But let's make the distinction real clear, because I was chatting with a friend earlier today and she had heard somebody say, you know, we Black women, we need to advocate for ourselves. And it's like, what you mean?
Right.
Black women can't advocate for themselves. We need a white man. You really do. You need white men to advocate for you. You need white men to sponsor you. Point blank period. Right now, as corporate is today. And I'll fight somebody on that. So I just wanted to make that clear. Okay. So we talked about hindsight, what we learned. Mm-hmm. When we get back from the break, we're going to tell our happy news.
Yes.
Because I think we both have happy news.
Yes.
So we'll tell you our happy news when we come back. I want to share a review that I received on August 25th, 2019 by Lisa Brown 838. And I'm just so grateful, you guys. So the title of this review is Awesome and Much Needed, and Thank You. Lisa says, thank you to this young lady. I love you for that. She says, thank you to this young lady. I wish I would have had such a forum when I was younger. Every episode I've listened to, I also have experienced or knew someone who had a similar situation in the workplace, state government job. I enjoy listening to her show every week. Felicia is incredible, talented, fearless, and innovative. Well, thank you, girl. The information she gives her listeners as an MBA in corporate America or not, as a Black woman working, her show is extremely helpful, comforting, and real. Today's episode, 8/25/19, was phenomenal. Keep going, Felicia. I support your show 100%. Well, first off, Lisa, let me say thank you, girl. Thank you. I really hope that everything I put into this show is super helpful to everyone. And it has come to my attention that sometimes when I talk to you guys, offline, off the record, that you feel like when I'm on the show, I'm actually sharing your specific situation. And I want you to know, if you ever hear yourself in the show, that is because there were many, 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 many people that were going through very, very similar things. And as Lisa has pointed out, there's so many similar situations in the workplace. So I do this and I create every episode with the multitudes in mind. And so if you do contact me for coaching or guidance, or you send me an email, just know that you are one of many. And it has come up so much that I have to address it in the show. And I will continue to do that because you are not alone. It is not only you going through these situations at work. And you would be surprised at how many times you could take one person's story and just swap names, and it's the same exact story. It's pretty scary, you guys. But I want you to stay positive. I want you to keep leaving me reviews. If you listen on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you can leave a review, wherever you can rate the show, wherever you can share the show, please continue to do that. Because my only goal is getting the information that you need to help you survive and thrive in corporate America out into the world so that we can all have somewhere we can go and get the help that we really, truly need without feeling a certain kind of way or without being dinged. So I love you guys. Have a great week. And let's get back to the show. And we're back. Me and my mentee, who shall remain nameless, because she out here in these corporate streets once again. So, what had happened yesterday?
So, this is a pretty quick turnaround. After a year of looking and trying to get something that really made the right fit, I wanted a great role that I could grow at, good company culture, all that good stuff. After a year, yesterday, I received an offer letter.
Offer letter, congratulations. Yay, yay. We got a job. We got a job. How you feeling?
I feel excited.
I'm excited for you.
I'm excited. It was a lot to take in. You know, after looking for so long and anticipating the job, wondering when it's going to come,
Right.
you know, I think managing my stress level
Yes.
and kind of anxiety around getting the job.
Yes.
It feels so good to have it, but it hasn't quite set in yet.
Right. 'Cause
But
you just got it.
yeah.
So now you got to take the weekend and like think it through and get ready to negotiate the salary and all that stuff.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. I think what's hard is when you have a career break because when it's more than like 2 months, it's a career break at that point. Forced or not, it can be a little daunting, right? Especially when you feel like your last experience kind of left a little residue on you, right? Like you got a little PTSD. It's like, oh shit. And then you start getting used to taking naps during the weekday. You're like, oh, I ain't gonna be able to take a nap no more. So by the time this show airs, hopefully, I too will have an offer.
Pew, 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 pew.
I know. I am probably going back to work. I don't know if that's a happy or oh my God. And so for our last segment, we were going to talk about what we're going to do in our first 30 days when we go back to work. And I'm pretty sure by the time this show airs, I will have the offer and probably have a start date because the interview went well. So back to these corporate streets we both go, my friend.
Yes.
So what's the number one thing you want to accomplish week one?
I think week one, I just want to kind of understand the ways of working. It's a new, I don't know if I can say this, but I've always worked in consumer goods.
Right.
This is the first role in retail.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, my internships, my jobs, contracts, they've all been CPG.
Because you just love
I love
marketing.
it. I absolutely love it. It's the best thing ever.
Why?
I love it.
Okay.
So I've never worked retail. You know, I've
It's a
always
good
been
experience,
vendor
though.
side.
Right, right.
So I think I just kind of want to learn from their perspective.
Yes.
And just be observant that first week. and just kind of figure out what their goals are from a retail perspective, how that works. Learn
So big picture.
Big picture is really
goals.
what I want to learn. New manager, what's
Right.
the best way to communicate with her?
Right.
I started taking a course since I'm in junior league.
Right.
They have a course that's taught by Deloitte called business chemistry.
Really?
Yes.
You're going to share this with me because
Yes.
you hadn't told me about
Yes,
it.
I just signed up.
Oh,
I
okay,
just
okay.
signed up on Tuesday.
And so Deloitte gives it?
Deloitte gives this course.
Oh, I got friends at Deloitte. Ooh, I'm about
Yes,
to get
and
this.
it's through the junior league.
Okay.
So I've never taken it before. I'll have to let you know what it's about. But I heard it's amazing, and it's several days, and they teach you how to kind of win people
right.
and how to communicate, learn your ways in which you communicate, learn like emotions. I heard it's super good. I'm gonna take notes and report back to you on
Yes,
it.
report back.
But since in taking that kind of understanding, okay, what's the best way of working with this personality? How do I kind of get what I need?
Good.
So I'm taking that course. So I want to kind of learn my manager, figure out what's the best way she communicates. How do I kind of navigate this new space,
Right.
this new industry?
Right.
So it's gonna be a transition, but I am embracing it.
Right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think they have a open office concept?
No, they don't, which I'm really
Ooh,
excited
I
about.
know,
I'm
right?
so excited about. Like,
No,
oh,
wait,
they have
let me tell
walls.
you. So when I was interviewing yesterday, and they were walking me, upstairs to the floor where the interview was going to take place, and I was passing through cube walls, and they were the high cube walls, and I got excited. I was like, "Oh my goodness, you guys have high cube walls!" I was on my best behavior, right? And I was just bubbly and like, "Oh my goodness, this is great." And she was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to remodel. They started on the lower floors like this. We're all going to have open concept." And I was like, oh, that's awesome. my voice went high pitch. So I was lying. I don't think she caught it though. I just got excited about the high cube wall and then, okay, well. I'll be all right. I've planned on adjusting. Definitely for my first week, since I'm not changing industries, it's really like getting as much time with my new manager as possible to really understand objectives, expectations, and to learn from her point of view who are the key
Players.
not just players, but my key contacts for the team and like key cross-functional partners and any other key people I need to meet as soon as possible. And I will work to map out that plan and what it looks like. The cool thing is in this organization, I already have some, I don't want to call them advocates, but they're definitely going to be my mentors because they would be senior to me. And because I have a more personal relationship, like, once you go to somebody's house, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I think the good thing is I have a little bit of safe space already where I can go get the real. And so my advice to you is spend the first 2 weeks observing like you do. You're really good at that. And seeing if there's people who've been there that seem like they may be open to sharing information, right? Because you want to gather as much information as possible. Like, who's the most influential? Things you want to listen for is like, yeah, that VP, they always get what they want. So when you hear that, you put mental note, meet with that VP. I got to strategize because I need that person to know me because they always get what they want. And so if I can get them to want me, and to want to promote me, then I'm going to get a promotion because they always get what they want. And you'll notice that. You might have seen it in your past organization. When you look at what VPs seem more visible, what VPs seem to always be talking, and who had more visibility with the organization, they stand out. You start to tell like, oh, the senior leaders always go to that person and that person's always talking and that person, it feels like they have the pull they have the biggest portfolio in the building, right? They have the biggest business or piece of business. They have the largest team. They have the most responsibility. Those are the things you want to look for because that's where the circles of influence are. And understand that, let's say you see a VP and they have the biggest piece of the business for the company that they manage, but they might not be the most influential. It actually might be somebody that reports to them that may even be more influential than them. So you just have to pay attention who the senior leaders talk about, what projects, like you said, like what are the priorities, and where the priorities are is a signal to where the influencers are, because the people who have the organization's ear, they have the influence in the organization, they're the ones that get the best projects. And so you want to really understand, like, the desk you're sitting in. You also want to find out, and you could probably broach this with your boss, what happened to the last person that was in that desk. So that's actually a question that I'm going to ask my new boss. I'm going to claim it. What happened to the last person who was in this role? Are they still with the organization? Where did they go? How were they tracking? And then I'll be working on how to use my newness to gain visibility and meet people and build relationships. One thing I'm going to go back and do is look at all my highlighted portions in my book of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I'm going to lean into that, y'all. Go lean all the way in. That's my lean in. I don't care what Sheryl Sandberg said to all y'all Beckys out there. I'm going to tell you right now, she wasn't talking to me. So... like the stuff she talks about in that book. And I've only read excerpts. I should not really talk to it because I haven't read it for myself. But I've read lots of critiques. I've read lots of, reviews. I've read excerpts. And I never felt like any of the stuff she says to do pertained to women of color. We can't move that way. We have to move different. I think, she makes the argument that the men do this, you should do it too. And it's like, Black women can't do that. Because then we be the angry, aggressive Black woman. So we can't move like that. We got to move different. So I'll be leaning into how I need to move, for that first week or two. So what are you going to do the latter part of the month? What are you going to focus on?
I really want to define goals. What does success look like? For me, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Exactly.
What can we track for? What does success look like to you? Where would you like to see me grow? Can we put in
caveat? You need to come with where you want to grow.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it needs to be more of, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Manager, in 2 years, I believe I could see myself doing XYZ. So mind you, you've had 2 weeks to landscape the organization. You should ask any friendly admin that you can to give you an org chart for your team. And they should be willing to do that. It's your team. You're not asking for the whole organization. And understand, people are real shiesty about org charts. Like they real protective about org charts. And I don't know what that is, because I'm like, we could sketch out an org chart from Outlook, right? I could spend a lot of time and do that, but instead, why don't we save some time and you just hand me the org chart? I know your ass has it. Just give it to me. Oh God, people. But make friends with all the admin. Your second week, if you feel comfortable enough, maybe you bring donuts or something, to the admins. Yeah. Hey, I really appreciate you guys. You've been helpful. The other thing I want you to, if you don't get an onboarding plan that first week, call me one, right? But you need to make sure you have an onboarding plan, which means what training do you need?
I made sure I asked that in my interview. Oh, that was one of the questions that you told me to ask. Oh. And every time I ask it, I hear, ooh, that's a good question.
Wait, what's the question?
The question that you told me to ask is, it said like what kind of organizational development or something, what kind of organizational structure do you have in terms of my development? Something along the lines of what kind of, here it is. What kind of development and procedural guidance do you have in place to help someone new navigate the organization? That's what it is.
Ooh.
That's what you gave me. That's what I wrote down.
That's a good question. I'm so good. I done forgot.
I wrote it down.
Okay.
And every time I say it, I hear, ooh, every single time. So I asked that, and the manager was like, ooh, that's a good question. And she outlined, okay, there's this.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
That really tells you if this organization is going to set you up for success.
Mm-hmm. It seemed like it, from the outside looking in.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good signal.
Something. Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
man.
What kind of development and procedural guidance do you have in place to help someone new navigate the organization?
All right, y'all. So use that, especially if you're more junior in your career and you know that your first month, there should be some type of training. Every company has its special systems, how to pull data, if you have purchase orders or whatever things you manage as a junior person, like there's systems in place.
Mm-hmm.
Most companies aren't just operating just off Excel sheets anymore, thank God. But you will have to learn some new software. A lot of these huge companies have proprietary, specially built, these consulting firms come in and say, oh, you need this type of software and Oracle should build it for you or SAP should build it for you. So they have their own built, coded for their systems, blah, blah, blah. You need to learn all that shit,
mm-hmm.
right? Because you're going to have to deal with it. But they need to have a training in place or have a dedicated person or a training plan. And if you start a job and you don't see that, they just kind of throw you in the water, they're not setting you up for success.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair. It's not fair for them to expect you new to the organization. You've never used their proprietary system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like
Excel.
It's not like Excel or there's some retail organizations in their buying organizations or their planning organization, when they're planning inventory,
mm-hmm.
there was a software called MicroStrategies. I don't know if they still, this one, before I went to business school 10 years ago. So this is old. I don't even know if MicroStrategies still exists, but that was a type of software that a lot of planners would use. And so it was something you would put on your resume, like I know how to use MicroStrategy, because it didn't change from company to company, right?
Okay.
So if it's something you should know how to do,
mm-hmm.
fine, right? Like you said it on your resume, I know how to use this and we have it. So my expectation is that you can jump on in there.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not that, if it's like, oh, SAP built us this whole database system and it talks to each other and blah, blah, blah. Well, nigga, you need to teach me how to use that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't just come in here and I'll have all your inventory shipped to Walmart and nowhere else. Shit. So, oh my goodness, Lord help me. I don't know why I'm like this. So that's good, mm-hmm. right? For me, it's really going to be, I really am going to focus on how to get promoted. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm trying to get this money. And I'm really going to be focused on quick wins. So how do I just come on in? Learning the business cold. So understanding what has happened, the history of the businesses I'm working on, how the business fits into the broader context of the company, what have been the expectation of the businesses, are the businesses growing? Like I'm digging into everything, I'm reading everything. So I'll spend a lot of time doing that and then simultaneously coming up with a plan of attack for building those relationships. Because again, my goal is to quickly go in and figure out how does one get promoted and start to slowly build that plan. Now, mind you, I'm not talking to my boss first day like, yeah, so I'm here to get promoted, boss. Like, no, like you don't really know me. Mm-hmm. You liked me in the interview. That's why you gave me this offer. So we're going to build on that likability. That's what you're going to love me. You're going to think I'm the bee's knees. You're going to think I'm the coolest. You're going to think I can do no wrong. That is my goal, right?
Yes.
And your boss is going to love me and think I can do no wrong. And then all your peers and all your boss's peers, they're going to know that I'm loved and I can do no wrong. That's my plan. That is my plan. And then like month 7, 8, after I've put some wins on the board, and so I got to quickly figure out what that is. But after I get that done, then I'm going to say, so I've been here like almost a year. It's getting closer. And even though it's like month 7. And I just really love it here. Like, it's so amazing. And I can see myself really growing here. You know, can you tell me what the last time you got promoted from this role to that role, what was that process like for you? Like, how have you been growing here? I didn't say, tell me how I could get promoted. I planted the seed. I love it here. I've been here almost a year. I haven't been here that long, but long term, I could see myself here. You've had a great career here. Can you share with me how you were able to, like, how did the process of you getting your last promotion go? Like, did you have to prove something? Did you know if you did this big project, you would get promoted? Like, I'm asking all those questions about how she got promoted. Now, mind you, she Becky. So I have to take that into account. But it will start to give me a sense of how people get promoted, who her advocates are, who her sponsor is. And if that's new information at the time we have that conversation, then I'm adding them to my list of people that I need to get exposure and visibility with.
Now, just for reference, how do you go about getting exposure?
So, this is the thing that's hard to explain because in every company it's different. But there are some universal things that you just have to be bold and do after you have some wins on the board and people are like, oh, she's good. Yeah. So then again, but you got to use your new card and you got to be bold about it and you got to be a little cautious. So my approach would be after about a month with my manager, after I know I have a solid objectives plan in place, I'm going to tell my manager, so this is great. You know, I'm just working on gaining more exposure in the organization. And because I'm new, I'm going to really be working hard to network with people. So I'm going to level set with her month 1, right? And then I'm going to tell her, I'm going to schedule a skip meeting with your manager to make sure, you know, she sees me and she knows me for herself too. In addition to all the wonderful things I know you're going to say about me. You know, make it fun and cute, whatever. I'll talk like Becky. Instead of bend it like Beckham, I'm going to talk like Becky. And so then I'm going to schedule a skip meeting and I'm going to ask her manager for the permission to schedule a meeting once a quarter, at least, if not every other month. Just to keep in touch, just so, you know, we build our own relationship, right? On top of that, I'll be asking my manager, you know, to talk about, you know, how do we elevate this work to the broader organization? You know, what's the do different that senior leaders would actually be interested in seeing? And then it's me figuring out how to showcase my work, especially since I know I'm not going to be on one of the larger brands. Like I'm walking into it knowing I'm going to be in a smaller desk. So I really will have to do a lot of work to get quick wins and then get off the team quickly to a bigger desk for better visibility. And how I do that is growing those relationships, but really truly analyzing the organization. Who's the influencers? Who's really running the place? Give yourself grace in these times because, like, you don't know what you don't know. And it's all a lesson. What do you hope for the next year? What's your biggest hope for your whole life? Like everything, work, love.
I would say in the next year, I want to just be more confident. I felt like at my last role, I didn't feel confident in what I did. I didn't feel like I felt good at my job, but I didn't feel like, you know what? I'm the shit. Like, I want to get to that point where I'm feeling like that.
Yes, like Lizzo.
Yes. I want to get to that point where I'm confident. I mean, what I'm doing, where I'm going. I would love to be in a relationship. I'm working on that.
She's single and she's cute, y'all.
Ready to mingle.
Just hit me up at ask@trillmba.com. If you're between the ages of
25 and 30.
Okay, 25 and 30. Okay, if you're 31, you could hit. I think you could. I think you might make it. But if you're interested, just ask@trillmba.com. All my friends are cute.
You only mess with the cute ones.
I only fucks with the best and the brightest. Because I need them to pull me up. I'm ignorant. Don't pay me any mind. You know, when you start a new job, give yourself grace because it takes a whole year to really feel like, oh, I finally get it. Like, you got to give yourself that time. I think I was fussing at Tiffany. I was like, you just started this job. She's like, I should know this. I'm like, it's a different industry. Like, you can't just know.
Right.
So I think for me in this next year, I want to finally really be successful in a role and in a company and feel like I'm wanted. And I know I shouldn't put that pressure on myself because it feeds into this idea that I need outside validation. And I think I'm really going to be focusing on validating myself.
I agree.
Like, even if it all doesn't go perfect, or hell, even if it blows up in my face and goes to shit, as long as I try my best, right? I'm just going to say, you tried your best.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. I think, too, really getting organized, because that's something I struggle with, like, for real. Oh, one of the things I'm going to do is, and I've already done this recently for the podcast, and it's amazing. I have a virtual assistant. Yeah. And so I'm going to be using my virtual assistant to do stuff like make my PowerPoints pretty. Aha. So there's some things I've realized about where I'm not quite the best at. Like, I'm slow with PowerPoint.
Well,
I take way too long.
I think even for me, like building trackers.
Oh, yeah.
That I didn't know that before the job. And I kind of noticed like other managers, I'm like, how are they staying organized? They just build these big trackers.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to have my VA build trackers and keep me organized.
Yeah.
I'm going to have somebody keep me organized. And I'm a bit gladly pay them because it's not that expensive. For me, it's a business expense with the podcast. And it'll make me look better. It'll make me look really prepared. And I know that's something that I wasn't consistent at in the past that probably affected the perception of my work. So even though I did good work, it was like, how did you get this done? What could you have done differently to be, better or bring people along better, blah, 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 blah. So I did learn a lot from the past 3 or 4 companies I've worked for, and I've grown a lot. So I'm kind of excited to see if everything I've talked about and researched on this podcast, that I actually can put it in action. We'll report back in a year.
Yeah.
And maybe the mentee will become the mentor. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well,
this was so
having
impromptu,
me.
you guys. And as always, if you have a work situation you need help with, you can go to trillinba.com/coaching and schedule time with me, or email me at ask@trillinba.com. If there's a situation I can't help you with, I'll, help you find the right person that will help you. Again, we all we got. So we got to stick together, and we're going to rise to the occasion, you guys. 2020 is going to be litty. It's going to be a fantastic recession-filled year. Oh, God. Help us, Lord. Just guide us. We're going to get through it.
We are. We always do.
I mean, we come from the slaves that made it.
Yes.
We got to make it. We ain't got no choice. We're going to be just fine. What Kendrick Lamar say, we going to be all right. All right, you guys. Until next week, keep it true. The Trill NBA Show is a Fair World Corp. LLC production. Executive produced by Felicia and Rose Inuha. Sound design and editing by Chris Mann with Podshaper. Theme music is Kick Push by Ryan Little. Keep it trill every day, y'all.